What about, instead of just roast, what about this? Let's roast.
Okay. And then we have...
Let's roast.
Oh, so we have let's roast. Like a
Bell.
a
Bell sound. Bell sound.
Then we go into binge, which will be a time lapse of just the start of this with the theme tune, and then we just go into it. I'm like, right. So where did we go this week?
You're right.
Let's roast.
The things that you.
So I'll be
said to
going- I'll be
yourself
going-
You want to get done.
Let's roast. So you could fit yourself around that. Okay, ready?
Or we
I'm
could
gonna
both
raise the
lean in.
glass.
We could both lean into the middle and go.
Okay.
Let's roast.
Okay. How quiet are you going? I'm gonna go out. Let's roast.
No, we need a bit of amplification. Vagina.
Let's do a few. Let's do a few
Gina.
practices. Let's do a few
Gina.
practices. Ben, take that.
Right, we're going to do a couple now.
One,
So the other side.
2.
No, we're going to look at each other, move the glasses forward with the right hand.
Are we chinking?
Yeah. Ready?
Let's roast.
One more.
Let's both try and say it. I always think it'll be funnier if we're smiling.
You smile because you want to smile. Jack, I think
I'm
maybe
too professional.
you just do what you do.
Yeah, Jack
just
never
just do your
smiles.
own things.
He
Just do
never
your own
smiles.
things.
I'm gonna start from a
He
lean
never
back
smiles, does he?
Not really.
Sit.
No, none of that.
None of that.
I was just having a sip.
Let's go.
Yeah, but
No,
don't do
you're
it
having
like
a
that. No one
smile.
wants to have
Whoa,
a
whoa, whoa.
slob on the camera.
1, 2, 3.
No.
What's our buzzword?
I think roast is fine.
I think.
What, we're just going to start the show and go like this. Everyone quiet, everyone quiet. Everyone, just look at natural.
Roast!
No, you know what? Everyone at natural. At natural, quiet. Roast. Cue theme tune. It's there. Yeah, that's it now.
Okay, how about this?
I feel like you need to have like a epic mealtime sort of like one word that you just like put a stupid thing in.
How about this? So we have a little like acknowledgement of the camera, and we have the natural thing. We start by going roast. Then we play the theme tune.
We need a bell. Right, we've started now. First time on the agenda,
We need
Ben.
one of those on
First
air.
time on the agenda, Ben. Well, I'm just going to suggest that you introduce yourselves and tell us about the project and who's involved in everyone's roles. Okay, there you go, it's easy. Well, we need a bell.
I think-
thing. Roast. We're off.
A gong.
We've got a timer.
We
We've
need
got
a
10
PO
minutes.
box. So
I think you should just have like
chuck
loads of
mail
James
over to you
bloopers,
that
like
you guys just
like
need to read.
you not being like Ben, just like I've had enough of this. I don't want to do this anymore, and storming off, and then Jack has to get out of his chair and be like, "No, calm down, Ben." Calm down."
You're right there. Oh yeah, just put it in front of the camera then.
And then
dickhead.
Ben. Oh, sorry.
Right, so then where did he go this week? Who's put
He
that
did
glass
it!
in?
I just had a go at him. In nonce.
Shut him out.
No.
I don't like this
Why?
because
Just put it under one. Oh no, don't.
because I'm getting messages from like Scarlett as well.
Well, stop looking at it.
I'm not. He just keeps touching
Why,
up.
why don't you put it under the furs?
Put it under the
No, like put it under
yeah,
the
put
fur
the
on the
phone
table.
under the fur on
Yeah,
the
no,
you
not
do.
dangling.
You
put it
mug
under the
it.
fur.
on the.
Whoa,
you messing with
Raj,
the
get out!
Oh, sorry.
Move that fucking
Get a poo off.
glass.
Get a poo off. It's not Simpsons. Get off.
Oh.
Get him off.
I'm gonna do a little.
We're gonna call you producer. We're gonna call him producer. We can't call him anything else.
Can I be sound effects and special effects?
No, but you're called Alex.
Okay, Raj can be in charge of special effects, and you're in charge of special effects and what sounds.
Yeah.
Evans is the resident chef.
And beer.
What's
pretty-
Jordan?
he's
Jordan.
pretty-
Just
Jordan's
refer to him as
social
resident
PR.
chef.
Jordan's
He's
social
PR.
media.
Jordan is knows.
Jordan's social
media.
media, but really you're PR,
I'm PR, public relations.
and that's it.
And then you've got to think of the categories
the meal, what's the atmosphere, the place, the setting, the food, what was it, how much was it is at the end, and we rate the end out of 5. Okay.
Yeah.
The verdict.
We'll give each element a 5 and then an overall.
You didn't go, did you, Alex?
No, I was away. I was at home.
Where were you?
Went to visit home.
What
Went
did
to
you
the
do?
ice
What did you
bar.
get up to?
Went to the ice bar.
Speak up a bit.
No, I'm just looking at footage and I've just got basically clips of you lot just keep going. There was no beef. There's no beef. There's no beef.
I don't know why anyone has a chicken at a roast, but
He only got it. To be fair, he only got it because I got the pork, and we're
That-
trying
that's,
to.
We're trying to get as broad a spectrum. I mean, he'll be having a nut roast in a couple of weeks.
no, that was the roast corn-fed chicken breast, bread stuff.
Should we make that Should we
Both-
make that really obvious that we really don't agree with nut roasts?
Just lying in this.
So, should we talk about the meat first?
I can't remember exactly, but she was. I ordered my I ordered my food. I said, can I have the roast chicken? Is it possible to have 2 Yorkshire puddings? Because I was the last person to order, so she'd obviously worked out everyone's appetite. Everyone was having 1, if not nothing, no extras.
But to be fair, they were extras.
They were extras. £1 for a Yorkshire pudding should be
That's
should be
ridiculous.
punishable. I'm not being funny.
When
When you also, because the roast actually, one of the problems with this place, the roast was actually quite expensive.
Yeah, what was it, 14, 15?
it came to
With
14.50.
We all
With
there
extra for
there were
the
5 or 6 of us there, and we all paid at least £20, and that was
Yeah.
with 1 pint.
Yeah.
That's the best roast chicken meal I've ever had. The sheer amount that they gave you, it was. I mean, I know it was more expensive, but it was definitely value for money. Somehow they managed to make £15 for a roast value for money.
My roast pork was probably the best roast pork I've ever had, and the pork was probably the worst part. The crackling was awful.
Well, yeah. Well, this is the issue that you had, isn't it? And that everyone else had, because I was the only person who had chicken. The crackling was very, if I remember, It wasn't crackling.
No, it was soft and chewy, and I would definitely have the pork again, but I would not touch the crackling.
No. The red cabbage.
The red cabbage was quality.
I've never seen so much red cabbage on a plate.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite parts of a roast, and there was easily enough. I could barely finish it.
Okay, here's a controversial point for you. You're a big fan of cauliflower cheese.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't like cheese. I hate all kinds of cheese. What was it called?
Cauliflower Monet or something.
On the topic of mustard, I seem to remember that there was a bit of an issue with the way the mustard, when we asked for it, was presented.
It was the applesauce.
The apple
Yeah.
sauce, Bramley's
Mhm.
apple
Mhm.
sauce, and the reason you knew it was Bramley's because it was in the pot.
Came in the jar.
I don't really care for this, to be honest. I don't care. I don't mind. It's fine.
No, I didn't mind, but it's a similar thing to them commenting or charging for a little bit of extra food. It's not what you'd expect. You'd like it to come in a little pot on its own, as opposed to come in the jar that anyone could. Because you go into a restaurant because you want to try restaurant quality food. If you're gonna have a jar of apple sauce, you could just open that up at home. You want to at least have the illusion.
I feel like that's something that Andy would do. I don't need to go for a roast. I've got a jar of applesauce back there. Just gets the spoon out, a bit of sugar, gollops it up. Wonder if we'll meet Andy at some
Puts
point
it
on
on
there.
puts it on a wrap.
Do you reckon Andy would do alright on it?
I reckon he's gonna probably be infamous by the time he gets on.
We just open him up, and this week we got hey! I feel like that's how we could get guests out.
He doesn't look dissimilar to that.
Well, that's horrible. I've had people in
Exactly.
I've had people in airports because I got
Don't
this.
cover up Winston.
Well, that's another thing. I've had people in airports because this came with a T-shirt with this print on it. I was waiting in the line, check-in in a foreign airport where it was in a place where loads of British people go, and I was just waiting there, hoodie thing, T-shirt open so you could see Arnold, and there was just there was a group of old people, like a woman, and she was just looking at it, and my mum noticed that she was looking at it. And then, there was probably 6 or 7 people who were talking about my T-shirt, and I knew they were talking about it, because you know when someone's talking about it. And then one of them just goes to my mum, that T-shirt that guy's wearing is repulsive. That's horrible.
It is.
That's,
one of the ugliest
that's
things.
what my mum said. She said, yeah, it is actually. It's scary. What do you mean it's one of the ugliest things you've ever seen?
Well, look at it. And that's the moral of the story is, that's one of the most ugly faces I've ever seen. but it's probably still not as bad as Andy's.
Alright, just getting back to the roast, I feel like one area of contention that hasn't been mentioned is the potatoes. What were your thoughts on those?
The potatoes, personally, I thought they were fine. I thought they were good.
I really like them.
The skin was crispy, exactly what you want in a roast potato. But we did have a little bit of controversy on that topic.
Well, like I said, it wasn't just the two of us at the roast. It never is, and I think it's worth mentioning that we're going to have guests on every week. I think that is something that's worth mentioning. But our resident chef, Evan, he disagreed with our interpretation of
quite strongly,
quite severely, and he's here now to tell you why. And that was Evan, as he is now called. That was Evan with his piece on the cauliflower. It's not to doubt his professional judgment. Obviously, he was a sous chef for what? How long?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years since he came to uni.
In Norwich, it should be noted. That should always be something that you
Little
bear in mind.
asterisk
next to his on his CV in Norwich. That's in the bin. I think it was a case that his potatoes, particularly, may have been, I don't know, from a different tray or something, because mine were just.
Could it be a case of him just trying to impose his professional opinion?
He did have his girlfriend there, which is always the telling sign,
He
isn't
was
it?
just upset that they weren't cooked the whole way through. They were lacking fluffiness, I think.
What was your opinion on them?
Mine were fine.
Exactly. Mine were
Pretty good
fine.
batch.
I had no complaints at all.
Can you give me a rating out of 5? Starting with the meats.
You take the pork.
The pork was fantastic. Obviously, I think we have to mention at this point the fact there was no beef.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to take down its rating slightly. The crackling also was below average, but the actual pork itself was really good. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
I'm in a similar situation, producer, because it's a bit like the Warwick look scale. If a girl from Warwick is a 10 in Warwick, I mean
In
an
the
8.
wider
She's
world.
an 8 at most in the UK. I mean, if you go to Eastern Europe, she's
Struggling to get average.
well. I'm not really sure what she is.
They don't go that way. No, I'm not.
And it's a very.
I can't say that.
It's a very similar situation with regards to the chicken roast dinner. Don't get me wrong, we all love to have a chicken roast dinner on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I often enjoy, because it's just easier to cook in the home. The chicken roast dinner is often nicer than the beef roast dinner at home. However, in a restaurant, you always want the beef, and we didn't have
Always,
that.
yeah.
So, bearing that in mind, using a similar kind of Warwick scale, the chicken has to be capped at. It has to be capped at a 4, really, and I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4.
Right, swiftly moving on to the potatoes, the point of contention.
Right. So we both agree that they were really good. The skin was crispy. The inside, I can see what Evan is saying. It's not the fluffiest I've ever had, but I definitely think I'd have to give it more than I gave the meat, because the skin was perfect. So I'm going to go in at a 4.2.
Okay. I would say that I didn't encounter any of the issues that anyone spoke about. I thought the crust or the coating, whatever the fat they cooked it in, was just great. And also thought it was really fluffy on the inside. So I'm going to go for a 4.5.
I think we have to take into account the resident chef's view, though, don't you?
No, because he can be a bit of a joke.
It was sort of a sweet, winey gravy.
Yeah, could you produce a verdict on that, producer?
What I liked about the gravy. is
You
that-
can't find out what the gravy was, can you?
all I have in front of me is pan gravy.
You can't get on the website and.
I'm on the website. I can click on what we had, but it's only going to tell me that we
pan.
had pan gravy.
It was particularly. It was unusual because it was more of a sauce than a gravy, I would say, because
Yeah,
it felt
yeah.
like you were having something that was its own entity that could be put on most things,
Yeah.
not something that is specifically.
It
made
wasn't really a
from-
gravy. It was more of a sauce.
But I don't think that limited it.
No, not at all. I think if there's anything that was probably a benefit.
I think.
Was that for the service?
Yeah, it was for the
You're
service.
joking.
Producer.
What are you doing?
Why are you here?
I thought you were going for the overall rating.
We can keep that in. That's another thing we can put in.
All right, let's go for the overall rating now.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, the food couldn't have been much better. the individual elements had a couple of tiny issues, but overall was fantastic. The atmosphere, bar the vapours next to us, I thought was great. I loved the fire, I loved the sofas, I loved all the decorations. That was all perfect. The service was probably where the place let itself down, but having said that, a lot of them were friendly. There were just a couple of little niggles, such as the
It's
bill,
more of a niggle-
such
more
as the
than a
bill
niggle for
taking
me.
so long. So, but I can't get over the fact that it was one of the best roasts I've ever had.
Hmm.
So overall, I'm gonna come in at I'm gonna go for 4.2.
I'm not going to be too different from your version, I think. I didn't like that waitress. She, for some reason, decided that she needed to
Yeah,
do that.
that was weird.
It's
I agree.
embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
embarrassing. You don't want to
Mhm.
be pulled up in front of your mates and told that
Yeah.
you're ordering that food, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's soured it for me a
Yeah.
bit. The roast was great, but again, I would say, I mean, the food was fantastic. Probably the best roast chicken I've ever had.
Yes.
But I left there wanting to leave. I was a bit fed up because the service was so slow at the end.
Yeah.
The price was expensive, but I think good.
But you got what you paid for.
I mean, the fact that they charge you for Yorkshire puddings is a crime.
And a pound as
A
well.
pound
for each
per
one.
Yorkshire, so I paid £2. Well, actually, no, I didn't because they forgot to charge me for my green bean side and my Yorkshire. If you're watching, drawing board, take note in the future. So I had a mixed time, and the food was great.
Yeah.
So I mean, you say 4.2. I think I will go for 3.8.